So I'm here at the work table and I've got a clock that is a little bit bigger than the size of my paper, but this is going to work perfect for tracing so that I can make a color wheel. I'm trying to make a nice, neat looking color wheel with all 12 colors. My primaries, my secondaries, and then the blends of those, which I call tertiaries or third colors. So I've traced my clock, my circle. And why I used this was not only the shape, but there are 12 parts that I need to split up like a pie or a pizza. So I'm going to have these triangular shapes that make my color wheel. Now the color wheel that I usually show you is at home, and I'm at school right now doing this on a table. So what I need to do is split this up. And I need to think about it, and I'm going to draw really light lines because, you know, it's hard to get this perfect, and it's okay if you don't. So be gentle on yourself. You're trying something new. But what I'm going to do here is write yellow, and then I know that I have something different right next to that. So I'm measuring with my eyes, and I'm using this ruler to draw this line straight across. I'm breaking these pieces into kind of, hopefully, the same size. Now it already looks kind of wonky because my center line should be here. But I wanted to show you this because I could make this mistake and you might not have to. And that's okay. So I'm moving this down. I have to adjust, and I may redraw some lines. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. So I need one more somewhere. So that means I'll make this one a little bit smaller. And I don't know how it's going to work on the other side yet, but my eraser will help me figure that out. So getting rid of this line, because remember we're painting over this, and this will be fine. So getting rid of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need to split this down a little bit more. So I move this to here, just so I can represent 12 colors. And this might work. It's really close. Let's look at it, clean it off. And so here is the center. I'm going to stop about here. And then this will work. Okay, I know I need yellow. I'll need yellow orange. I'll need orange. I'll need orange red. And that one's smaller than that one, so I can go ahead and draw that across and erase that. Then I'm going to have red. Then I'm going to have red violet. Then I'm going to have violet, which is purple. Then violet blue, and then blue, that's my primary, and then blue green, and then green, and then green yellow. How does that work? I got one too many. So what I can do is make this green one bigger, make this yellow green one here, right here, draw that across. You see me adjusting and erasing just like you would if you misspell a word. It's the same thing in art, and that's fine. So this will work, and I will straighten up my lines once I'm done painting it, and once it's dry, then I can go over my lines with this dark marker. Make sure that you brush this off because you don't want to paint into anything, you know, with eraser or any pencil underneath it, especially if it's yellow or a light color. And I can see what that was. I can still see OR. I can still see my lines. But that's enough evidence for me to move on to. I'm going to paint part of this and leave some of the mystery and wonder and discovery to you. But I wanted to show you the first few things. When you start with your paint, if you haven't done this already, prime your paints. That means get it wet. I'm putting water in each ink or paint well. I don't need black or brown, but I have all my from purple to red here. I'm starting with yellow at the top. You could start with any color, but I want pure yellow. I want pure color when it's a primary or a secondary for sure. When you're mixing your other colors like yellow, orange, or green yellow, or any of those, just kind of be careful with that. Put yellow on it and then let that set up for, let it dry a little bit, and then take your orange with a clean brush and go back into it. Now if you're too wet, it'll bleed into the next color, but we're practicing here and that's okay. Try not to let that happen, but if it does, it does. No biggie. You could even skip a space. I could go to red, or I could stay away from my orange here and it'll be fine. So pick up more orange because we want that nice and vivid, like a pumpkin that you might be starting to see at the grocery stores. I can come back to that and finish that tone. Next color is red. Wait a minute, red. Yeah, that's orange. Red is here. So this would be red, orange. So I've got red. And I want that to be really vivid, so I'm really gonna load up on red. And I'm just painting out to this edge, and I can cut this out and put it on another piece of paper if I'm worried about my edge. It is up to you. All I'm asking you to do today is make a color wheel. And if you only had crayons, that would work too. I'm going for violet, and I'm skipping a space because I learned a little bit just practicing. And about this needs to go away. And then I'm brushing that out of the way that way, not into the paint. Brushing that out, brushing that out. This is all about making a color wheel today. So you're painting it, you're mixing colors. I think markers were on your school supply list. I know crayons and pencils and paper and all that good stuff are on your supply list. So whether you're at home or at school, you're supposed to have a supply list. You need materials to do school correctly. You need a notebook, you need paper, you need all that. And it's the same with art class. And you're asked to draw a lot of things instead of writing things in your normal classrooms too. I'm going to blue now. So I want to split the difference here. There's my blue, and in between this blue and purple, we're going to blend those two colors, and that's blue violet. So I know green is here. Cleaning out my brush because I don't want blue green just yet. I want it somewhere else. So I'm brushing this out. It's going to be a little wider. Try and stay straight. We're drawing diagonal lines with our brushes. And then I can fill that in and let it darken. That is eraser right there. I got to get it out of the way, and I'll clean up the table in just a moment. Now this is almost dry enough to blend into, but this is not. So let me go to red, orange. I have orange. Let me just go over that orange once more. And you notice I'm using a wide brush so I can fill this in, and I can get right up to this line and draw that too. I could have used a smaller brush, but it would take me longer to do this and film this video. You see the size difference? It has a different purpose. It's a different tool. This is to fill in a lot of space. This is to draw and paint thinner lines, details. So I can go to my blue violet or my red violet. Let's do red violet. I've got violet. Ooh, that's dark. I'll need to mix that out. Clean out my brush, pick up red, blend that in really nice. We're looking for a maroon or a magenta color. It needs to look in between these two colors. Ask yourself that as you're doing this, even if you're using crayon or marker. And with marker, you can blend that with water and a brush. So just get a small brush and a little cup of water and work in a place that is okay for you to do this. But I want you to ask yourself, do I have enough of this and do I have enough of this to make something in between these two? So you're comparing and contrasting. And this is pretty easy to do because your eyes will tell you if you pay attention to what you're doing. This will be red orange. So I'm going to start out with orange and put that in and just pick up a little more color, move it, because if my paper is wet, that color is going to glide where it needs to go. Now I need to add red to this. Wash out my brush so I don't change the color of that red, because I want it to stay red because it's my set. This needs to go to red orange. Remember, it's going to go in between these two. And that is kind of that color. Now I see I need to go back to red because it lightened up like pink, and I don't want that. If this is clean enough, I can go back in, do my yellow, make it vivid and bright. See, I had to go 2 coats with this because it was a lemonade color. You know, it was not really bright yellow. I can put this back, I can put this in, and then I can go over that with a little bit of green and mostly water. My blue and violet I can go back into. Let me go over this blue one more time. Brushing that out. Pick up blue, put it here. Just light is fine because I'm going to go back in with that purple and make my blue violet, which is indigo. Great color. Now this is blue green. I could go ahead and blue this, and lightly is fine. But the next thing is to go back to this and add green because it's soaked in a little bit and it'll be fine to work with. So that turned pretty dark when I hit it. We're going to go back into that with yellow one more time to lighten it up. That water will lift the color and it will move it around. You're the boss of it, and as you make a color wheel, you're adjusting colors to get it right. And of course you see the example online of, you know, how these colors should look on a color wheel, and that color wheel looks different than the one we're making, which is kind of neat. So going back into here, blue green, I don't want to miss anything. And I'll go back in with blue. We keep adjusting, going back and forth. That needs blue. Hopefully it doesn't bleed. If I stay away from it, I might be okay. That's a pretty good blue-green. Now this is blue-violet. So going back in with this violet, see how that paint really got wet and soaked in the water. And now that means go back in with blue and mix that through, because we want it to be indigo. We got it. Look at that. That's a cool color. Now I want to go back to this purple and this red because it's kind of pink. So let me go back here. I'm just looking to make sure I'm in the right place, because you can goof and put, oops, see, started to go into orange. I don't want that. I want red. I could put the wrong tone in here and then I'd feel like I needed to start over because there's no getting that out. Paint is like a dye or a stain. So I have green, yellow, green. I've got it pretty much. I would like my blue to be a little more vivid though. Here I go, back into it. A little darker, a little more blue. I want it to say, I'm blue. You know, there's no mistaking that. So we'll stop for here. I'm going to let this dry. I'll be right back when it does dry, and then we can go over it with the lines. That's just another step.